Hello, Internet. You know what's bad is when you've just finished this 5 minute, roughly, I don't know how long it was, 5 minute intro, and you realize that you didn't even turn the video on yet. Yeah, when I finished it, I went up here to turn it off, and it's like, oh hell, it's never been turned on. So I'm going to have to redo what I just did, and I'm not sure I can do exactly what I just did. All right, today's focus is going to be on the boxes that I made. I think, make sure it's still going. Okay, yeah, it's still going. I was going to just put all of these projects maybe on 2 videos, but I thought that's kind of cramming a lot of stuff in. So I thought maybe to spread it out. I originally thought maybe this would be 2 or 3. It might be closer to 4 or 5. I don't know. But we're going to be looking at boxes today. And before I get started, let me back up here. Yesterday at the end of part 1, you remember seeing this. That was that hickory cupboard with those poplar doors and shelves in there. Down here on the bottom, here, let me back up. Down here on the bottom, you see, I'm looking for a pointer. No. Down here, you see that bottom shelf where I keep my coffee grinder. And then I also keep, it's 11 o'clock. But I also keep loose leaf tea down here. I've got I like Earl Grey in the afternoons. I like to have that. English breakfast, Irish breakfast in the morning, but oh no, over here. But loose leaf tea, I got bags of loose leaf tea over here. I do like brewing it from loose leaf rather than using those bags. I looked under the microscope at some of those bags and the teas that are in those bags. That convinced me, I'm not sure I want to have bag tea anymore. Anyway, then on these other 2 shelves, I just got some canned goods. I've got the old paper towel sitting up at the top. But down here, here, let me get back out of the way further. Down here below, I've got a small bookshelf. And I was going to make a potato bin. And that was always something I wanted to make. But I got to thinking, I've got this little bookshelf here. And what I did is I made a frame to go around. And then I put some hardware wire in the center, so air can get in and out. And I keep potatoes on that shelf, and I keep onions down on this shelf. And that has really worked out like a champ. There's no potato bin that has to sit on the floor in some other location that takes up space. This worked out real, real good. All right, let's get back to the boxes now. This box I made out of cherry. Cherry and maple, I believe. Yeah, cherry and maple. And when I started making boxes, all of this exactness that's in my brain, it has to be, I had this idea that it had to look like this. The top and the bottoms had to be exactly the same length and the same width. And you just end up with a box. My skills in making these boxes kind of evolved over time, and I'll tell you about that. But when I had these first boxes, to open them up, you have to just two-handed. You got to grab the side because there was nothing to grab a hold of. You had to grab each side to pull it up. So the boy got to thinking. Cut out a piece of leather, got the staple gun out in the garage, kink, 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 and I got that leather flap up there. Function over form. But it works perfectly that way until the leather eventually cracks and dries and falls off. But I keep candles in this over there by the fireplace. I dumped them out just so I could show you this. But I made those dovetail joints. This again is back when I was working on experimenting with dovetails. If you notice here, the dovetail is going to be the one that has the angle to it, that's flared out, like I guess a dove's tail. So you see that here. Now on this side, you don't see any flaring out at all. this side, they're called the pins. The white ones there, they're called the pins, and these are referred to as the tails. And you know, being the data hoarder that I am, when I remember sitting down as I was getting better at this and taking pictures of each step of how to make a dovetail. I think I'll do that. I think I'll do a video with that. I wonder if that'd be something that would be of interest. But again, I didn't use any power tools at all on that. It was all hand saws and chisels in creating these dovetails. But anyway, that made me think of now maybe a sixth video or fifth or sixth video. But these I evolved. I evolved in my production of these boxes as I went along. The lids didn't have to be the exact same size and dimensions. The lid, it was okay if the lid was a little bit longer and a little bit wider, because when it became wider, then you had a little lip that you could pop your finger under and just lift it up. But my first boxes didn't look like that. All right, we're going to do what we did yesterday. I'm going to get the editor out, throw the pictures in there, and just, pop through those like we did. I might come back here maybe on one or two occasions and give a little backstory on a couple of those boxes. So let's get over here to it. We had a secretary at our school whose husband was a veteran and passed away. She had the flag framed in one of those walnut triangular frames, and she still had some odds and ends that she wanted to keep. So I told her that I would make her a walnut box that would match that flag frame. And I gave it to her. She was very, very pleased with it. This box is a little higher. It's made of an exotic wood called bloodwood, and I have maple on that one as well. Here is another exotic wood, tiger wood, and you could look at it and see why they would call it that. I gave both of those boxes away. This next box I made for a friend of mine. I came in contact with her on Facebook. Now, this is probably 15 years ago or so. I made the attempt to try Facebook. It was the first time I signed up for it and even gave it the attempt. And I discovered that my sense of humor didn't always transfer just with words. I live in the world of sarcasm quite a bit, and that did not transfer very well. But there were some people out there that they got it. They got it. And there was a friend of a friend. Well, a friend of mine had a friend who was this person, this girl. And I think she might have been in her mid-30s at the time. But she was a friend of a teacher friend that I had. So, somebody would make a comment and then there'd be a little snarky comment in there. And it's like, oh, I like her. So we'd get going back and forth. Well, we exchanged email addresses. And since probably, 15 years, we've been just, back and forth at it. And excellent sense of humor. And a husband that was just wonderful to her. Well, she had MS, and it really debilitated her. So her going out activities were somewhat limited. So she enjoyed the online, the back and forth banter that we would have. I asked her, and because of her condition, she smoked a little bit of the green, and it helped her. And I have no problem with that at all. Well, now here in this state, it's legal anyway, so why should anybody have an issue with it? If it's legal, it's legal. But back then it wasn't. But I think she had medical use for that, and I asked her, I said, well, do you want me to make you a box that you can, keep all your stash in and your supplies? And she thought that would be a good idea. So I made her a box, and I made it out of Purple Heart and maple. And that's going to be the next picture that you see. This is the last box that I ever made. And I made it for my sister, my older sister. And she led a life that probably if she had to do over, she would make different choices. But I tried to get her to journal and maybe put down some of her experiences in this journal. So I gave her a couple of some blank journals that I had, and I made her this box that she could keep the journals in, as well as other little things that were important to her. I know she tried to do a little bit, and my impression to her was, you don't know what your words, what the effect of those words might be on someone in the future that might read those, and it could give them a glimpse of who you are, and maybe the decisions that you made, either right or wrong, and learn from them. So I don't really know how much she actually used it. I think I gave it to her in 2015, 2016, somewhere around that. But she was diagnosed with glioblastoma. That was the cancer of the brain, and within a year, it took her life.